Do you know, Jane Eyre, where the wicked go after death?
They go to hell.
And what is hell?
Where are you, Ram?
If you don't sit still, you will be tied down.
A pit full of fire.
Should you like to fall into this pit and be burned there forever?
People think you are good, but you are hard-hearted.
Get out.
Children, I exhort you to withhold the hand of friendship to Jane Eyre.
Man, who says we don't have any culture about ourselves, man?
Everybody, including us.
Well, they'd be wrong, including us. Okay, they're not wrong.
No.
But we did watch this movie.
Yes, we did.
Which is like, yo, come on. You had to read this in high school, assuming you graduated high school, which would be not most of our fans or us.
I found a way around it.
Yeah, well, I even brought tea and crumpets to the screening, so I can like get in the mood for it, you know.
Would you care for a scone?
Scone.
I remember giving this book. It was the best pillow I ever had. Slept on that book every day in class.
If you're ever looking for Corey's DNA to clone him or something, you just look at his Charlotte Bronte collection.
Oh, my Charlotte Bronte Jane Eyre book is glued together by, porn is glued together by, semen on the pages. My Jane Eyre book was glued together by the saliva spit that I had from drooling sleeping.
Well, we are in TMI territory if there ever was.
Say, man, I don't know about you guys. I got a lot of use out of that book because I had this coffee table that was uneven.
And it just propped it up just right.
Just right.
Yeah. Man, this book is great. A lot of uses for it. Pillows,
Yeah.
Table props.
Well, we
It's
read
the new duct tape, right?
They let us choose between sisters, and I went Emily. So I unfortunately suffered through Wuthering Heights instead.
No, this is how stupid I am. I actually did read this book in high school and don't remember a fucking thing about it. And read it, and I remember like when I went to see the movie, I was like, I don't remember anything about this. And then slowly it kind of came to me like, okay, I'm actually remembering bits and pieces of this to the point where I think that, I even have some complaints about this movie. And I'm the kind of person who, when it comes to like Shakespeare or Victorian novels or anything like that, Dickens, I can't be the person to tell you, oh, these details are incorrect or that's not right.
Well, because it's been so long since you read the originals. So well, I think I remember this being different.
But I'm looking at this and maybe I shouldn't complain because it is a beautiful film. It's and when I'm talking about beautiful, I'm talking about just cinematography alone. It's the director. This is the guy who did Sin Nombre.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about night and day as far as
No. It's a
films
guy.
go.
What's the guy's name? Kerry Fukunaga. So it's a guy with an Asian name who directed a movie about Mexicans.
That's right.
And now doing a classic Gothic drawing room.
Exactly, yeah.
He must have got pissed
everywhere.
off. Yeah,
I don't like this guy. He confuses me. I hate that what you do not understand.
I want to pigeonhole you. How can I help me
It
here?
sounds like he wants to be the new Ang Lee.
Well, Chinese
Exactly.
Chinese
So he can make a
restaurants
shitty
confuse
Hulk
me
movie
when you
next.
see the Mexicans working back there.
Yeah. It's kind of reversed now. You got the Chinese doing a Mexican, a Mexican movie.
Manuel, more rice,
guy
not ice rice.
This guy ain't fighting Godzilla or karate chopping somebody or something. I don't want to hear about him. I would rather not hear about his name directing this movie. But he did a really good job with adapting this novel to the screen, even though I don't remember that much about it. The only thing that I think that I'm saying think with a stretch here. The only thing that I can think about from the novel, because as Cyrus just said, this is a Gothic Victorian novel. And for those of y'all who are ignorant like us, that just means kind of creepy.
It doesn't mean Marilyn Manson's walking around. Creeping.
They're not putting Bauhaus in the soundtrack.
Ain't no Draculas in here, Blackulas.
No bell towers. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought you were saying the problem you had with it is that the crow shows up at some point.
That would have been cool with me because it is that kind of movie. For all you people all you goths out there and all you Twilight kids and Twilighters and highlighters and all that kind of shit, this goes back to the real shit, right?
This is where it came from. Originally.
In a way it is.
Yeah.
This is
the boring version of that.
This is the smart version. Translate boring. Yeah, because that it's a Gothic novel. Now it centers on a lot of themes of that Victorian age. It centers on the class system. In fact, this book is in 5 stages. It centers on childhood poverty growing up, being simple and plain, independence, and love and romance.
Did you just go reread this book?
No, I did not. But I did read the notes on Wikipedia, so I can sound like I knew what I'm talking about.
Don't forget about the young girls' boarding school, which would have been my favorite part if they would have presented it right. But
What,
yeah,
you mean like where they all have lesbian sex?
yes.
Yeah, well, that probably didn't happen
Yes.
as much.
I was like, didn't I see this version? But it was on Skinamax, but it was a whole nother story.
Wasn't that Sucker Punch?
yeah. Where's the robots?
Yeah, I know.
Where's the samurais and the mutant
dragons
Nazis and dragons and shit? Well,
And ogres.
I have a whole much more appreciation for Sucker Punch after seeing this boring shit. No, actually, I really like this a lot. And after seeing like something like Sucker Punch, it's good to go back to some good old fashioned literature with this. Let me put a monocle in real quick.
I haven't read Jane Eyre, as I said before. We went to the other sister when I was in school. But, this is indeed Gothic in the sense that Gothic did, in fact, mean kind of creepy, kind of scary. Not in the sense like there was an actual monster that was going to pop out, but there was always the feeling that a monster was going to pop out. Like there were often ghost stories and that sort of thing. And here is actually no exception. I've heard some complaints from some critics who are saying, man, you so felt like a monster was about to pop out that you were disappointed that one didn't. I mean, they're talking about a ghost story, and then they're saying, no, it's a vampire story, and then there's even hints that there might be like a wild beast, like a werewolf or something. Yeah. And you're like, wow, man, this movie's kick-ass.
Which is, and that's the only thing for certain people like me who go to a movie like this where it's like, I kind of have to go see this just to talk about it, where I'd see a trailer for it, I'm like, Jane Eyre, I never went to school, so I have no idea, and I have no investment in this. I would not see this anyway, other than I have to be a reviewer and go look at it. But the thing is that thank God they have something like that in there to keep me invested and sitting in the theater, like watching this shit. I'm like, oh God. I was like, man, I was like, this is for my grandmother or something. I don't what the fuck am I doing here?
Well, so every time you're about to pass out, you'd hear werewolf. Oh,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was sitting next to him every time he passed out. I just whispered in his ear.
Finally,
shit is on now. Be quiet. Don't go in there.
But, the whole.
I know. It sounds like Bronte. She's just a big tease.
Well, but back then you got to understand it's a different age, and it's not even meant to be. Gothic back then. I don't know enough about this book to know if it was meant to be the equivalent of a horror book back then, or if it was just a very interesting subplot or theme that was going through the book to make it kind of have that scary feeling to it, or that feeling, that dark tone to it. But where this comes in, I mean, it plays a small part, but it plays it's a thread that's with evidences all through the movie that something ominous is in the background.
Yeah, it sets the atmosphere and the tone of the whole piece, even while it doesn't dominate the story.
No, because like I said, it's the classic themes of the Victorian novel. I mean, you center on the main character here, Jane Eyre, who's played by Mia Wasikowska. I think that's how you say her name. Again, another fucked up name.
Yeah. Being a Polish name, it can be pronounced any
kind of way.
Don't put JZC together. I'm sorry. I don't know what that means.
Exactly.
It's like, isn't the English language fucked up enough?
Exactly. There's seed in the air. I can say her name real good. But she's the main character here, Jane Eyre, and through these novels, they have these themes that you love to see. That's what makes these kind of novels that you often think are dry, but you start to read them. The thing that makes them interesting is because you start out with a person who is considered plain, simple, poor. And in Jane Eyre's case, she starts out as an orphan. And British people just fucking shitty back then. It's like if you were poor, people they might as well just pick you up and wipe their ass with you.
So good they're so nice and compassionate to the poor today.
Yeah,
by comparison. I mean, at least today they do somewhat acknowledge them.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if that's true.
It's one of those things though where I look back and I'm like, you know what? They had things going on right back then. I kind of miss that hierarchiness. I like knowing that there's a certain status that either you make a lot of money because you're born into it, or you don't, so you should shut the fuck up, keep your opinions to yourself, and just keep working on those goddamn fields.
Exactly.
I miss that.
What happened to those good old days?
Where do you imagine yourself falling in that hierarchy?
Oh, the hierarchy, obviously.
Of course.
I'm a robot. Come on, man. I'm smart. I'm genius.
As a robot?
I would be. Yeah, I'd paint my face white with the big ruby red cheeks.
What happened to the day is when you didn't like what somebody was doing, you always had a white glove handy that you could pull out and just slap them with it.
Yeah, but
go back and do it again.
Yeah, but you could do that to anybody. anybody can do that to anybody. The problem is you might end up being the one who gets killed.
Yeah, today
That
you
just
would get
means
your
I want to
ass
have a
beat.
duel. You better know what you're doing.
See, and
yeah.
that's the best thing. Like what I never understood about duels is like, you know what? There's somebody has to turn around and start making the 2 steps back or whatever. So just shoot him in the back and that's it. I mean, what does it matter?
It seems
Like,
to make more sense
you're-
to me nowadays, where you got a problem with someone, you just fucking jump on them and beat the shit out of them. You know? It's just
I'd love to bring one of these
people.
people back into this recent time. Put them in a bar where they disagree with somebody, you know, like the roughest bar in town. Just have them slap the shit out of somebody with that glove and just stand outside and wait for them to go through the glass. You, sir, this glass is dirty. How dare you? You know, but
Like the American West, high noon, but I'm mad now.
but Jane Eyre, we start out with her as an orphan. She's being raised by her aunt, and you know her cousin is shitty to her. Beats her down with books.
Yeah.
I think this book, Jane Eyre, he beat her down. And this book
give
is
her a
actually,
clue.
yeah, you know, 18.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, this kid just skipped the glove, beat her with a book, and then we move on to her being like taken from her aunt only to be put into a worse situation, which is a boarding school. And you know, back then, boarding schools were no joke. They racked them knuckles in a minute. You know?
Not as cool. Not as cool as Cinemax portrays.
Oh,
them.
they did things like they would stand you. They would beat the shit out of you in the places where they knew it hurt, knuckles, you know, back of the neck, all that kind of stuff. And then if you were still not up to their standards, they would put you in the middle of class and say, people ignore this person. She has no friends. She would stand on this chair and you would treat her like shit.
Treat her like Cyrus.
All you spillos out there, ignore Cyrus. He is not your friend. You will not befriend him.
He is invisible to us.
Pay attention to me. I'm just going to go in the middle of the room and take a shit. That happens.
Yeah.
See if you ignore me then.
Yeah, she just takes a shit in the middle of the room. Yeah,
I don't know.
ignore that.
Sounded to me like this movie ripped off Diary of a Wimpy Kid too.
That's right. Back then, like kids, like that whole better seen and not heard, it was more like better beaten or, you know what, just beaten. That's fine. You know, because like there was nobody going, hey, you can't do that. That's wrong to treat kids like that.
Yeah.
Then they were like, fuck it, man. What are they going to do?
Exactly, yeah. We ain't got no child protective laws around here. We can throw these kids against the wall. Nobody gonna say shit. But finally, Jane Eyre reaches adulthood. And what's so cool about this is that the movie opens up with her running. And you're like, what the fuck is she running from? You think she's running from a werewolf or something. You know, like that, because she's running hard. And you don't know what she's running from. But we open on the part of the story where she is in adulthood and she meets this family called the Rivers family. And the patriarch of this family is Jamie Bell, him and his sisters. And
Jamie Bell finds a way to worm his way into
everything, you know, except he's got cool sideburns in this. And, you know, that's the kid who's coming to his own. He is the kid that people cannot remember from Billy Elliot.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was Billy Elliot.
He was Billy Elliot, yeah. And
He's been in quite a few things.
and he's been in a lot of things since then, but he's now like a man now, you know. And so
he kind of reminds me of the little train. Was that train that's
Little train
always
that could,
trying?
the little engine that could.
Because like as many movies as I see this guy, I was like, man, will this guy ever like have his own like feature or do anything? It's like I keep seeing this guy, but nobody remembers his fucking name. Nobody knows who he is.
Well, you know, I mean, the last thing we saw him, and he's playing second banana to Channing Tatum. So.
yeah,
and that's
right.
not good.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And the Eagle.
Yeah.
That's where we last saw.
And that is
him.
not a good career move.
Jesus, yeah. When is this kid gonna get his? You know. But anyway, he's the patriarch of this family. It was just him and his sister. They take her in, and that's where you begin to get the backstory and the way the story is structured. And I don't know if it's like this in a novel, but it does open you up like, okay, we're going to work back and figure out what her story is. And this is where we learned about her childhood, about her at boarding school, and then her going to like be, I guess, sort of a governess at this. Well, before she's a governess, she's like a maid or whatever you call it. Back, What do you call it?
Like a serving girl?
A serving girl, yeah. Back
Chambermaid? I don't know.
yeah.
Cum receptacle?
Yeah.
Damn.
What?
Well, that was Victorian time.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even hear that. I was like,
take
wait.
it.
I was looking at that like, wait a minute. God damn.
You wanted a maid back there on Wikipedia. Cum
Yeah.
receptacle. What
Is that what they use to make butter?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
If you get a time
butter
machine
is
and go back
salty.
then, don't eat the butter. But no, she goes to be the I guess a servant for Edward Rochester. You know this
Rochester.
Rochester. Yeah, you can't hear me without thinking about that. Now here's where the story gets dark because Rochester is kind of cold, kind of hard, but he's taken in by this girl who is his servant.
Jane, of whom do you think I speak?
Of Miss Ingram.
I'm asking what Jane Eyre would do to secure my happiness.
I would do anything for you, sir. Anything that was right.
You transfix me quite. feel I can speak to you now of my lovely one. If you've met her, and you know her, she's a rare one, isn't she? Fresh and healthy, without soil or taint. I'm sure she'll regenerate me with a vengeance.
And assume that he wants to make her his governess. But there's all these things of saying, like, look, don't get with this guy. It's either who's the actress in here that plays the other woman of the house, the servant woman?
I don't know.
Oh, you know
The older lady?
Yeah.
I don't know. At first, for a second in the shadows, I thought she was Judi Dench. but
Judi
it's not.
Dench, yes.
No, that's not Judi Dench.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's not Judi Dench.
Is she the chick that played M in the James Bond movie?
That is
That's
Judi
Judi
Is it
Dench.
Judi
Yeah.
Dench?
That is Judi Dench.
Yeah,
Maybe. Okay,
yeah, it
fair
is.
enough.
It is her.
Damn, how
getting
dark was the screening you went to?
Yeah, were you at the
old.
gateway?
Yeah, no,
old, man.
Judi Dench plays the other woman of the house, and she tells Emily, she's like, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Emily Blunt. She tells Jane Eyre, she's like, listen, there's just something not right about this. Do not fall for this guy. A woman like you can fall for those kind of charms, but there's something that he's keeping from you. I'm just letting you know. Just saying. You know,
doesn't
saying
ring
what?
right.
But
and throughout her time in the house, these creepy things start happening. Like one of Rochester's friends who's staying there wakes up in the middle of the night with bite marks on his neck and on his body. There's moans.
Werewolf.
Yeah, well, that's what you think. You know, there's moaning going on throughout the house.
Talks about
Mummy.
one mysterious woman who walks through the wall.
Yeah.
From
Ghosts.
one room to the other.
And also people doing shit like playing jokes, knocking on the door and running. You know, it's like,
A ghost who leaves a flaming bag of dog
I know.
shit.
That's, I know.
leaving a bag of dog shit.
Damn that ghost.
Yeah, doing shit like
and that-
unscrewing the salt shake in the morning. You know, but
and that's one of the more interesting things about the movie because honestly, I remember sitting next to Cyrus going, "Okay, what the fuck is going on here? Is this movie about to pull a From Dusk Till Dawn on me?" I'm like, is it where I walk in expecting one thing and I get something completely different, something actually I want to see?
yeah, and
Robert
that's where it
Rodriguez's
comes in.
Jane Eyre.
I mean, if it's more of a romance than it is a dark gothic novel because it's just to let people know right now, if you're going in and you are expecting the vampire and werewolf, and some of you stupid motherfuckers will out there, because I know I would if I didn't know any better. You are expecting like this to be a vampire story or some sort of creature in the woods. You know, for those of you who don't know literature, it's not that, so you have to be ready for that. But those who already know this literature, let's just say that it is a great adaptation, except for from what I remember in the novel, I think that it was a little dirtier. And when I say dirty, like secrets that are revealed, they're not as clean, beautiful, and romanticized as they are in this movie. So I'm just
Really?
saying, because when the secret is revealed in the novel, it seems like it's a lot more disturbing than what we get here. And this is
That's odd.
I wish I could tell you what it is, and
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
can't.
But
You ruin the whole movie.
you ruin the whole thing. But when it's presented, it's like it's almost too clean, almost too gorgeous, and it's like you know, I don't buy that. Now, either I'm not buying it because I didn't buy it in the movie. I remember being different in the book, where it's just a tad bit like more sinister.
It
But
worked for me. I didn't have any problem with it at all.
I don't have a problem either.
I liked the reveal because it didn't go too far. It's just like, okay, that actually, you know, it's the point where you find out that the old man who runs the haunted amusement park was actually playing the sea monster.
Oh man, he wanted everybody off the property so he could
It's
sell it
like,
for the insurance.
It all makes sense, and all the pieces have fallen into place, and you're like, oh, okay, well, there it is.
Yeah, not reading
It's,
not reading the book. I mean, when you see the climax, it does bring it back to the reality that the movie initially set itself in.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't get too nuts, and the thing is, it's believable, and in some ways, it's like it's still fucked up. It's still fucked up as far as what's going on.
Well, I like the fact that the creepiness that we're talking about, all the like, what if there's actually a ghost stuff, you know, the things that are like set at that atmosphere actually fit the nature of the romance part of it. Because the romance, there's nothing happy or delirious or anything about this romance or anything involved with it. It's one of the darkest on-screen romances probably ever. I mean, from beginning to end, and the way it's handled and the way it builds up and the way it concludes, you're like, Jesus Christ.
yeah, and Michael Fassbender, he
fucked up.
plays Edward Rochester, and you know what's so great about it is that you just I mean, he gets sprung off this chick. It's like, normally he wouldn't pay any attention to somebody, but it's something about this girl here that just...
She looks like a man, baby.
Yeah, he sees her one night and dick just gets hard and doesn't go down since then. And he's so into her that you begin to see like this cold nature of him just begin to like be chipped away, and to see this guy become so passionate over something that he would normally just wipe his feet with is really cool. And Michael Fassbender captures that very well. Look. The bottom line is, don't go looking for the gothicness in this. It's that classic tale of somebody who is treated like shit, and later on in life gets a big sum of money and can come back and say, "Fuck all y'all." All right,
Oh, okay. One of those. I know it either goes that way or they become a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victorian get rich or die trying.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
She's Mia's like 50 Cent.
Yeah. I have to get mine. May you get yours. But no, she comes into she starts from poverty, abused poverty, and comes into grace and fortune. And it's the way she handles it with that grace that makes the movie. It's not so much the dark part of the story, and it's also the romance that she falls into. I mean, this is Victorian soap opera, all right?
Right.
Back then, this is where Victorian people were like, woo! It's like, this is what it is. And it's good to see that. You root for this girl who holds her composure, even though she's getting the shit kicked out of her throughout her life, just carry herself so well,
The thing is that, like, I mean, you brought this up a minute ago, but, like, I feel like everything fires on all barrels, including the performances, and the script is great, the dialogue is great, except for... And this is, it seems like it's nitpicking, but it's so important. The lead actress, Mia, who is terrific, except that this role calls for someone to be that fine line between a staid, stoic, Victorian type girl, and to have this thing about her that's just irresistible, like this tone of eroticism around the edges, and she is incapable of pulling it off. There's not a moment in this film that there's anything attractive about this girl at all. I mean, she just never breaks out of that stoic Victorian thing. There's never a moment that you go, yeah, I totally see what this guy sees in her, because you don't. It's really just not. I didn't get that at all.
Because I saw some things like that. It's like, that's what I appreciated about it, because she says throughout the whole movie, "I'm common," and you got to wonder, like, well, what are these people seeing in her, except for moments where she has her hair down, or there's something
Still
about
didn't see it.
Really, you didn't.
The thing is that with her character, she's almost so not there because a lot of her emotions are so internal that she honestly, there's some parts of this movie where she becomes like part of the background. I mean, I mistake her for like a curtain just hanging out in the background. I'm just like, where is this chick they're talking about? Oh, there she is.
Somebody just hung their hat on her.
Yeah. I know.
These Victorian mannequins are so detailed.
There is a scene like that in the movie where if you were common, you were not in the room.
Yeah.
People would do that. They throw the coat on you and all kind of stuff because they would not pay attention to you.
They're like Mexican housekeepers.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Except every now and then, the housekeeper is allowed to speak. They don't even acknowledge this girl in that, and that's the strength of the movie. Just seeing the underdog of the film. But I understand what you're talking about. She's so pale. She's so frail.
It's not her looks. It's her performance.
It is. Oh, it's her performance.
Totally think it's a performance. I think it is a major flaw, and that's key to believing the romance in this film, which is very unfortunate. Because I have no problem with her looks. I mean, I think maybe she's a little too young for this part overall, and she's also a little bit on the mannish side, which doesn't help when you.
Damn, man, leave this girl alone. What she do to you,
dude? She's flat as a board the way they've got her dressed up in this film. She might have a very womanly figure, but you would never be able to tell the way they dress her throughout this film.
That is rough.
It's nothing against her. I'm saying about the way she's
I heard this, I commit suicide.
I doubt she's going to commit suicide because of what Cyrus is saying, or at least I hope.
I don't know, dude. I mean, normally I would say that, but the way you just laid that out.
Wow, I would hate for you to be back in her time and see the way you would treat her, man.
Boy, I just keep saying it's the costuming and the way she's presented in the film, not the girl herself. What the hell?
I think the girl's beautiful. She just does not look like a woman, and her acting is shit. But other than that, I think she's awesome.
Actually, like I said, once again, her acting's actually really good through most of this, except for that one key thing that she seems incapable of getting, of nudging judging. Maybe it's just she just doesn't. Maybe she's not old enough. She doesn't have enough experience with like.
I see
her
what
own
you're saying, man.
sexuality,
It's like
but-
you're saying like there's nothing really wrong or looks or anything, but for a character like this who is so plain, what is so seductive about her personality that people fall for her?
Well,
You just didn't
it's
get
not
that.
just people. It's the crux of the entire story is that this guy can't help it. When he's around her, he can't take his eyes off her. He thinks everything she says is good. The dialogue is written so that it should be like that sort of playfully seductive. Yet, no, I didn't mean that. And yet, she never manages to read it that way.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna give away the ending. This is this is a Victorian crying game. All right, that's the big reveal at the end. She has a dick, and that guy is just the last shot is just that guy in the shower crying.
He's blind and she poked his eyeballs out. What hast thou seen? But for this kind of movie, I like the way that they play with the narrative. I like the way that they mixed it around and like kept you interested, not only in what was his dark secret, but what was this girl running from? You know, what was going on that she had to be found out in the woods by this family, and as the story unfolds, it kept me interested. Like I said, my only complaint is like I mentioned before, is that it's kind of clean, and you know that's nitpicking on my part. But yeah, you know, I like this movie enough to give it a full price. I'm very fond of period pieces too. This movie. Don't go in sad, depressed, or anything, because everything is drab and cloudy, and I just walked out feeling kind of sad too, you know, because I'm glad I'm in Texas right now because I needed some sunshine when I walked out of this. Damn. So yeah, it's, but yeah, it's a full price movie for me. I enjoyed it. It's directed very well, shot
Twilight
very well,
for grown-ups.
Well. Yeah, exactly.
You know what? I can totally. I mean, you don't have the same problems I do with this. I think it is a very well done movie on so many levels. But like I said, that's such a key issue where I kept going through the movie. I was like, you know, it wasn't even going. It's not that she's unattractive. It's just that this guy in particular has no reason to notice her over, you know, various other girls for what the movie keeps telling us he should be. So I was like, okay, I'm just not buying into this world because of that. I'm not buying into anything really with her character being special on any level. I'm gonna give it a high matinee, and honestly, that's entirely why it's not a full price.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, there was nothing in that relationship that made me go, I mean, why do these two people even give a shit about each other? Mm-hmm. But other than that, the performances were outstanding. The look of the film is beautiful. I mean, that's if anyone should study how a Victorian film should look, it should be this film. And they do such a great job of like going back and forth with the tone of like the very serious to the tone of, all right, there's some creepy shit, you know, around the corner. And I love those scenes because that for somebody like me who just doesn't care to see movies like this usually, it was kind of like the surprise for me where I'm like, okay, this has me interested. Now I'm like really focused on what's going on with the story. It's making it that compelling to me. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I give it a matinee, even though I was kind of on the hinges of giving it a full price. But you're right. The relationship, the more I think about it, yeah, the relationship did seem a little forced. And yeah, you just didn't really, you had no real reason besides, you know, that obviously there's a book telling you that these people need to get together.
Yeah, other than the movie telling you, no, seriously, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is.
Your gaze is very direct, Miss Eyre. Do you think me handsome?
No, sir.
You're afraid of me.
I'm not afraid. I was not asleep. I know what I saw.
It must have been half dream, half reality. You transfix me quite.
What am I to do then?
You rare, unearthly thing. I must have you for my own.
You're so little acquainted with men. Keep him at a distance. Miss Ingram's coming. She's a great favourite of his.
You're floating gently in the stream of life, unaware of the rocks ahead waiting to dash you to pieces.
Do you think that because I am poor, obscure, plain and little, that I am soulless and heartless?
Jane! Jane!